Recording, transcribing. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome. I'm Thomas. I am the president of BIARC, Kilo Hotel 6 Golf. I'm a general. I play with radio and in all of its forms, and I keep delving into a different form every week for some reason. So that's me. We're going to go ahead and pass the mic around the room and have some introductions. Unfortunately, this week we do not have the PA speaker because William is not with us. So this microphone is for our online attendants. Please just speak into the microphone and then speak loudly for the room so everybody can hear you. But we're going to go ahead and start it off this way.
Hi, I'm Joe, W86JOE. I'm extra class. I'm the secretary of the club. You can't hear? What's going on?
Well, there's no PA speaker. We have to just kind of speak up.
Can the people online hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, again, my name is Joe, W86JOE. I'm the secretary of the club, operating activities chair, and like everything radio. So,
I'm David Miller, KH6CZ, and I'm the VP of the radio club. And can't say much more other than I'm embroiled in all facets of radio, and look forward to seeing you today. We'll go, where will we start? Over at the table here, yeah.
My name is Mark Wagner. I'm a brand new technician class as of really last October, coming up on a year now. Bought property here in Hilo and trying to figure out what antenna I can get set up to get into HF. Speak louder. I have the same problem. I bought an ICOM IC7300 when I was in Sacramento a few months ago. It was on sale. I just had no choice. I had to buy it that day. And it came with a gift card, $100 MasterCard, which is also cool. I have no antenna set up yet, and some gentleman in the back here was kind enough to loan me a dummy load so I could fire up and look at it here at the meeting today. So new technician class with a lot to learn, and I look forward to doing that here in this club.
Hello, I'm Hank Call, KH6HAK, extra class, Space Cadet, part-time lightning rod. So far, so good.
Hi, Paul DeCass, WH7BR from Volcano. Nice, cool volcano coming down to the meeting, BIARC meeting in hot Hilo. So over to John.
V63 Juliet Bravo, Watang Mai Sowiak, and only here for a couple of more hours. And then I will be back home in Gitam on the other end of the radio circuit. And Joe, are we still on for what Tom and I are going to do? Yeah. Okay, and we sort of got our arms twisted into doing some work with you guys on 10 meters and for technician class licensees. So we've got everything, I think, pretty well worked out. A little show and tell for you, and a fair amount of information from kind of hard knocks in the past. So we're hoping this works out and everybody gets some good information out of it.
Hi, I'm Tom English, WH6EBS from Volcano. Yeah, I'll be working with John today on the 10-meter presentation.
Hi, I'm Mark Watanabe, WH6FSA General Class. I'm a at-large member on the board and serve at your pleasure and continuing to learn. That means I guess I have a lifelong job, huh?
Gary, WH6EPS, operating up in the Mountain View area, amateur extra. Kind of play on the repeaters, 40 meters, 10 meters, occasionally 20, really a nighttime operator and like the digital modes. So, that's all I got. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dale Macbeth, WH6 DGM, New Tech, up in Volcano area. Happy to be here. So,
Hi, Richard Diamond, KI6 AMI. I'm HPP. I just joined today.
I'm Kyle, WH6FQQ.
Sharon McCartan, WH6 ELV, and I'm a general.
Dennis McCartan, WH6 ELY, and I'm an extra class.
Hi, Luke McKay, WH6 GRW, extra class and in Volcano, and I'm the current chair of the Digital Systems Committee. So anyone with digital system stuff, feel free to grab my ear.
I'm Bob, also known as Uncle Bob, and I'm an extra. Been licensed since '57. I've held just about every office, including section manager. I'm an assistant section manager for ARRL now, but fortunately don't have any jobs, and I like it that way.
My name is Tom Fisher, KH6TD, extra class, and I'm fortunate to have an ICOM 7300, but I got an antenna with mine. It's all, and it works. Okay.
Hi, Fred Fisher, WH6 HAA, and I'm a technician class.
My name's Rich. My call is WO90 extra class. I live in HPP. Just got my license last year, thanks to Doug and Linda bring the exams here locally. I really appreciate that. Just bought my first radio. Just put up my first antenna. Haven't even made my first call yet.
Hi, I'm Linda, WH6LQ, extra class. Also do VE work and support this one.
I am Doug Wilson, KA7 DQ. If anybody needs to upgrade, we have a testing session on September 7th in Harvey. So you're gonna have to drive a little ways to get upgraded.
I'm Jim Tater, WH6 EMN. I'm on a couple of committees, and the refreshment committee is the most important one today, so that's enough amateur extra.
Hi, I'm Tony Kitchen, WH6 DVI. I'm the 2025 BIARC treasurer. So if anybody needs to pay their dues, I'm the person to see. Couple other positions everyone should hopefully be aware of. I'm with the voluntary organizations active in disaster. The local island, we call it a COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disaster, is part of the state group. And I'm the secretary for the local VOAD. VOAD partners with BIARC in our preparations for disaster and emergency response. I'm also with the Amateur Radio Emergency Service. So I'm the assistant section emergency coordinator for the Pacific region. And I work with our section emergency coordinator, Kevin Bogan, and our ARRL/Aries section manager, Alan. He lives on Maui. So we're all one big team here. If you remember, Aries is divided up on this island into 4 regions: north, south, east, and west. We do not have a district emergency coordinator yet for north. However, our coordinator in this area is Daryl, KH6RDO. He's hopefully going to be here a little bit later. We're also expecting, hopefully, Bill Hansen to show up and give us a little orientation to talk about the emergency alert systems and various ways that the communities are acknowledged in a disaster. So hopefully he can make it. Lastly, I wanted to mention that I work through the Citizens Corps program with Sharon and Dennis McCartan, who represent CERT, while I'm there representing VOAD. And we have a meeting every month at the Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency, where the agencies and as well as the non-for-profit groups coordinate. We do coordination on things like disaster preparedness fairs, but also on communications and how we will activate and notify and help out each other during an emergency. So there's a brief 2-minute overview of how the different groups here on the island can work together to become prepared for emergency situations and disaster situations. I'm going to turn it back over to our president to maybe pick up the people on the meeting room online on Google Meet.
All right. Once again, thank you all for coming. We'll begin briefly, but let's greet our online followers. It looks like we have, well, Paul, you're in the room, so thank you for introducing yourself. Lee, if you would introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hi, I'm Lee Critchlow in Upper Mountain View, where it just rained a little bit. And I'm an amateur extra, and I'm the editor of our monthly newsletter, the Hamgram. Back to you.
Thanks, Lee. And then we have a Kira. Kira, would you like to introduce yourself? Go ahead and unmute.
Yeah,
There you go.
I got it. Yeah. It's Kara Bernhardt, WH6FSD. I'm up in Papa'aloa, and I'm going to be in and out because my connection isn't that great.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you for joining us. All right. We did have a slightly different plan for the program today, but things change, obviously. So we've cobbled together a couple of other options just to kind of spread the time and cover a few different topics that have been of interest from you. And it always helps if there's something that new that you want to know about or bring up to the meeting or the club in general. Please let us know so we can look into things. I know Meshtastic has become a big thing, and we have some stuff on that today. And then we also have some HF stuff. Not enough people are utilizing 10 meters these days, but we have a good program that will hopefully work out considering we have enough rigs and you're close enough. I'm sorry, Kyra, say it again. Oh, gotcha. Oh no, she's muted now. Okay. And I lost my train of thought. We don't have our William today, so that's a bummer. We have that, yes. As far as announcements go, we have a couple of things coming up pretty soon. Did you want to bring up the CQ Worldwide event? I don't even know the date on it.
It's not until October, so.
Oh, okay, that's far out.
The next one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any actual announcements other than I've personally been working on some newer Meshtastic tech it's going to be what's coming next, I believe. Last night I had the opportunity to put it together, but I did not have the chance to program it, which is a bit of a bummer because I think this will be super helpful. Being that we have such a fleshed out network in Hawaii now that we can reach multiple islands via RF with Meshtastic, and a lot more people have nodes. I put together this project that actually uses Meshtastic to inform people of local drones, not only the drone location, but its user's location. So it's going to be one of those things that it's still fresh and a little green, but as soon as I get it up and running, I'll have a chance to explain it a bit more. But what it does is it detects a drone, its ID, its operator's location, and then it spits out that information onto the mesh network. Not as a bot or anything like that, but it'll at least let you know, hey, there's somebody with a drone in my neighborhood or in my general area. It can also be reprogrammed to let you know if any new internet-enabled objects enter your space. Like think of a 33-foot bubble just around you that, and you'd like to know if somebody's on your property and they have their cell phone with them or a Bluetooth watch or anything that emits RF. It can detect that they've entered that bubble, and then it'll do the same thing. It'll spit out that information onto Meshtastic, letting you know exactly what's going on there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pass this around. Just be ginger with it. It is not stuck to anything, but it is a just a Heltec V3 Meshtastic board, and then a Seed Studio Xiao S3. So think of it as two Arduinos stuck to each other doing different things. But I'll go ahead and pass it around there. That way you folks can take a look. I'm sorry, you had a question?
So I'm picking up a drone. Does it pick up the drone in your bubble?
In your bubble.
So what's the range?
The range, it's all about as far as the antenna. The antenna is the base point for that. The bigger the antenna, the greater the reach. I would say everybody that ends up with one of these, test your range. But this can be scaled. So in every place where we have a node, we can have another one of these. We can have one for Volcano, one for Mountain View, one for Pueblo, and it'll still give information and pass that information to us, depending on if you want to, be subscribed, if you will, to know that. So it'll have its own channel. So it's not just spitting out garbage onto the local network that everybody's, most of the time we pass alerts to each other. There was an accident just out of Hilo the other day, and I passed right by it as it happened, but I still put it out on the mesh network because I could verbally talk to it and I didn't have time to turn my HT on. So radios, I got to get that thing running all the time, but it's still helpful. It was the same day the first fire happened in Pueblo as well, which I wanted to kind of talk about that just for a second. I tried to hit the Pueblo repeater multiple times, but not being able to do so, I still used 146.520 just to get it out there that this is happening. There's a very large fire on the lower side of the highway. I didn't get any response, but I did it multiple times anyway, just in case. You never know. There could be somebody's SDR recording. It could have just alerted an emergency responder. Getting information out there and giving it to others. Sometimes you might not know they're hearing it, but putting it out there, I think that's the helpful part. I mean, that's why we do what we do. This last weekend, I attended the Oxcom training, which was interesting, very interesting. I got to see how a lot of things were done. There's a lot of paperwork, but there were a lot of connections with people there, and meeting a whole new group of people and getting to know them and how they work. I think that's the best way that we can actually do things, is to coordinate in our own different ways. Everybody has their own particular skill set that they're good at, and to be able to share those with us, I think that's great. That goes back to the whole, if you think something's interesting, let us know. It might be something that might save a life. You never know. I mean, we're not first responders, but we can help. Please do.
So this is still on the Meshtastic category. Digital system, typically we're using this for page text messaging or paging type functions, but situational awareness, yeah, for sure. This is another version of essentially the same kind of hardware, same kind of chipset as what he was showing you. So this is a LilyGo T-Beam, and it's about $35 to $40. You can get it on AliExpress. It has a battery spot here on the back. It's something that you would put in your own case, so you can put it in some kind of watertight enclosure if you're going to have it outside. But it uses a 18650 standard battery, lithium ion phosphate battery, LiFePO4 battery, which, by the way, I can still order those from China. Somehow they don't have to adhere to the shipping regulations that everyone else has to. So inexpensive. If you want to experiment, basically you'll power it up. It's also got the USB power connector here if you want to hook it up via USB to your computer instead of using a battery.
USB-C, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's standardized. Super helpful.
So yeah, you can do it just directly to any USB power supply as well. And basically you go to the Meshtastic website. They've got a procedure for flashing the firmware onto here. typically we are encouraging licensed amateur radio operators because, you know, anybody can use one of these. You don't have to have a license to use this in the 915 megahertz area. That's on the ISM band. But amateur radio operators that are using these, we encourage you to put your call sign as part of your node name. That way everybody will know who you are. And the idea is to get coverage in all the communities. Now, one other piece of hardware I want to make sure everyone's familiar with. There's actually a lot of different ways to do this same technology. So yours, would you describe that as like a do-it-yourself tinker type
This was
setup?
a homebrew project that I had a thought of, and then I was discussing it with the actual person that made my board for me. Now it's cheaper to get a bunch of boards made than it is to go and try and prototype something yourself. Just trying to find the stuff to etch your own board on island has become a pain. So I try and save all of my etching stuff. But this is definitely a DIY, whereas you can buy something straight out of the box, program it, add a battery, charge it up, and you're good to go. You just have to make sure you have it programmed, because there are so many options. You're holding up a very good one right there. Because I like these because you can actually have an external antenna. These are limited to the internal antenna, which it's still great. These are phenomenal. Once I got one, I was going after Hinks, and once I got it, I realized I just have it with me all the time. Had it clicked to me, and the only thing I don't like about this is it's non-standardized charging, but that's about it. Like everything else works great. It fits in my badge holder, and then it's in my pocket at all times. It's IP67, like it's waterproof, dustproof. I don't know how I could kill it.
So here's 4 different options of the same technology. That one you got in your wallet, this do-it-yourself type, build your own project for the tinkerer. The intermediate type T-beam, really I wouldn't call it a build it yourself because it's kind of fully all there. You just put a battery in or plug it into USB and put it in a case. So call that the easy button for the tinker. And then the fully assembled unit, this one I got for $112. So you can find these on, we got it from a company called B&Q that Luke sent me a link to, but they're on AliExpress, probably just a little bit more. Oh, is he? Okay. So that's probably the best source for this one then, right? So B&Q would be for the Station G2. Nice little unit. Of course, you need to have it in a watertight enclosure. I just put it in my windowsill. I find that the LoRa protocol is really amazing. It just, at low power output, it just goes a very long distance. And, you know, you'd normally think that something up in the 915 megahertz range wouldn't get the kind of distance these things get. But it goes very far.
It really does. LoRa does stand for long range, and it was developed to interconnect basically sensors. So say you have a farm and you want to know how much irrigation water you have left in your tank. There is a different version of some of this material that can be used to monitor that. My node actually tells me my temperature and how many lux of the light. Has a light sensor built into it. That surprised me. I had no idea. It fits in my pocket. I have no idea why it does that, but it works. You have a question?
No, anybody's got a miner node? Because we used to use those things for mining. Yeah, you can redo those for
yeah
what we're doing here.
Yeah. If you have an old mining node, as far as using that, these things, a lot of things can be reprogrammed and used just to be part of this network. In fact, I would say go to the Meshtastic website and look at all of the devices that are capable of being flashed, because you might have 5 things in your house right now that you don't use anymore that were from other projects that you can flash and use for this, which I just think it'll help flesh out things a little bit more as far as connectivity and having another form of communication amongst each other. Like I'm a big fan of having a PACE plan, primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency. It keeps fluctuating because I had put my mesh as further down in the last resort type of territory. But now my primary is my HT. My secondary is now mesh because there's usually somebody listening. And I just to circle back to getting a board that has the ability to add your own antenna. Don't forget, antennas can be directional, extremely directional. I only brought one of these in just to show it, but I mean, this is a very wide range antenna, but you're basically using a Yagi, a flat panel Yagi that was made on a printed circuit board. I use it for signal detection with my Hack RF and my spectrum analyzer and whatnot, but it can most definitely be used to receive signals on the mesh as long as it's within that range of the spectrum there. I'll pass this around too. Just let me get the little connector off there. Because the only thing that is, if you ever end up with one of these, check the connections. Sometimes they're not soldered on, which I have no problem with. And this one came with a line that was too short to reach the back, so I complained about that, but I haven't heard nothing about it. But I mean, just being able to, I don't think I'll ever hear anything back on that one. So if you do want to get into this kind of thing and you ever need help building your own custom connector, or if you have questions about things, bring it to us too. One of us is most likely to have the answer to your question, and we could always have a nice round table discussion on things as well. I mean, I hate that I'm focusing on something that isn't exactly ham radio at the moment, but I like bringing it up and letting other people know that it's there.
You can also mention that it can run in the amateur radio.
Oh, it can because we're licensed. There are different modules for that, and you might need to get a different chipset. So that's where things get a little murky, but like I said, if you go to the Meshtastic website, you can actually check to see what can run on what.
Thomas, what's the deal on that? I mean, you can get the European version that's like 432 megahertz, right?
Yep, and we almost did, but I checked the spectrum for a while. I did about a 3-month test driving around, seeing what the 433 part of the spectrum, the license-free part of the spectrum here was like. And I picked up so much noise and interference, I started to lose my mind. I was like, well, what is this? What's happening? I mean, are people communicating with this? It's sensors, and most of them are those TPMS sensors on cars, those tire pressure monitoring sensors. When your car says it can't see that sensor, it's spitting out data anyway, and it's just garbage. So I know, I mean, a couple nights driving from work back all the way up to Mountain View, I think I detected about 400 rogue 433 megahertz just signals, just trying to figure out what's going on. And then it started to hit me like, okay, there has to be a database that tells me what this is. And there usually is. If you put in the least amount of information into Google, it'll try and figure it out for you. And it helped a lot. So we chose the 915 part of the megahertz part of the spectrum because, well, one, that's what we're allowed to use for this if you're a non-licensed individual. And I think that also helps bring others into the fold because it's all radio. Everything is a wave. I dig it.
Yeah. So if I throw the amateur radio switch in my Meshtastic client phone, what does that get me? Other than I cannot broadcast, I have to broadcast in the clear.
In the clear, yeah.
And do I get more power out of it?
It does not increase anything, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just broadcasting.
Yeah. So it does put your
If I can just add a little bit there, because I think this is a question that's kind of important. And Tony, do you mind if I?
Go for it.
So the club has 3 of these now. And these are basically, it's called a station G2. So it's basically a base station style of node. And this has a 9 to 15 volt input. So you don't just run it off of a standard single cell battery. It takes a real battery for it. This one can output approximately 3 watts. Now, without a license, you're legally allowed 1 watt, depending on your antenna. So this one in ham mode, effectively, you can use more power. Most people that have these run them unlicensed with more than 1 watt power. I don't think the FCC cares, but that's between you and your lawyer. That's not something that anyone is given official advice on, but practically speaking, there are so many users. And think about the 900 megahertz band because this is spread spectrum and also has that encryption option. But even in ham mode, it's still spread spectrum. So you're legally limited to 10 watts. So even if you hook this up to a big amplifier, you're not legally allowed to do that. But if you're running voice 900 megahertz, you can run 1,000 watts. I think maybe 1,500. I'm an extra, I should know this, but 1,500. So, 1 watt versus 3 watts, who cares, right? But still, like, that's the biggest thing that running ham mode gets you is when you turn off all that encryption, all of the advanced features of the mesh stop working. You can't do direct messages because those require encryption. You can't have private channels. You can't do all of this stuff that is really useful to do. So most people, I haven't talked to anybody around here that's seriously used ham mode. Yeah. Yeah. Well, basically nothing because this is all line of sight. And so unless you're doing super long distance, like trying to point it at California and get some, atmospheric propagation there, there's no reason to go for high power. If you can see it in the islands and you have a decent antenna, 1 watt will get you there. Yeah. So it's not worth going more than what you can do with these. And like I said, the club, the Digital Systems Committee, just got 3 of those. One of them will go up to the Mauna Loa repeater site. I loaned the club a unit that's up there. I'll replace that with the club unit. Gary put up a different style of node at Pepekeo, and we're going to replace that one with one of these station nodes as well. And then the third one, we have yet to determine where that one will live. So we might be polling some people at some point to decide what we do with that one. But in any case, the club's involved with this in that way. So if you have any other thoughts on that, feel free to jump in.
Router up past Pepekeo, just around the corner, so it catches some cloud. That would be my suggestion.
What we're going to need is we're going to need access to a site. Preferably, it's not a radio site already, or if it is, it's something that's not heavily used. So like at Pepekeo, we're going to have to put a filter in because there's so many different transmitters there. The Mauna Loa site, we don't need to worry about that. There's not much going on there. But to put something up there in North Hilo or Hamakua, it's going to require physical access to somebody's, and so if there's a club member up there that's willing to do that, that's great. If not, it gets really complicated. Yeah. So, and with Williams here, he's going to, maybe at another meeting, I'll have some more thoughts on that. Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to get around the corner of the island. Yeah.
Thomas? All right. Well, I brought in some other gear to try and help visualize some of these things because it's not just a constant stream like you would see on a waveform or a waterfall like ham radio. Like when you speak and you're keying up, you're going to see a line on that waterfall. Unfortunately, it's not as simple with this because it's packet radio. Imagine this as APRS. Like literally, think of it as that. That's the easiest way to do that because these days with APRS, if you have the ability to, like mine, my radio can actually text message other radio users that have a similar BTEC UV Pro. So using the existing APRS protocol with that radio, I can do text messaging, even during an emergency. Helpful stuff. Again, that's another part of my PACE plan. I'll flesh that out a little bit more too. That way I can do more of a deep dive for you folks, but definitely helpful. It's nice to know that it's coming back. People are still using APRS and that it's still functional. We just need to have more, more folks using it and more, what's it called? Gateways. That'd be great. That, and I would love to see more WinLink gateways because trying to get into that has been a little maddening, but I think that's just my problem there.
So now VHF or HF?
Both. I'll get there. The spot.
ain't too bad. VHF is the problem.
Yeah. Well, the spot I live in Mountain View just happens to be extremely noisy, not just from the road traffic, but all the RF. That's why I have so many antennas and hack RFs and analyzers, just to try and spot where it's all coming from. And most of it is solar panels, old solar panels, but not even the panel itself. It's whatever power supply it's going to is dirty and needs a ferrite. And if I could just pop up on there and, you know, clip on a ferrite in the night, I would. In fact, I have some that I bought from Hank that I was planning on doing, but I don't want to have to put on the balaclava and run in the night just to clip on ferrites. People would think I'm crazy. What else? What else? Yeah, as far as all this stuff that I'm showing you folks, I can go a little deeper on it later when I explore more of it too. Like I just got this device the other day. I've had it for 3 days, but it can pick up on a lot of this. It is a full spectrum, low wattage transceiver that detects, transmits. It can. This one actually has a built-in speaker and microphone and everything as well. So I can use it in a low wattage, like 1 watt, an HT mode. So depending on the antenna I put on there, that's a whole nother device. But it does so much more than that. It has some actual binary in and outs on the side here, which my last one did not have. So I look forward to building a board for this to be able to pick up on that, just so I can have it all in one, instead of having 3 boxes of gear in the car at all times and pockets full of antennas and wires and everything else. This is why I love the standardization of USB-C. The fact that I can use one cable, just one, to charge everything. I mean, I'll still need multiple to, you know, plug into everything, but just having a standardized thing like that, that's great. I love it. I love the fact that a lot of things have SMA connectors. Now, if they would decide whether or not they were male or female and let you know a little easier on the box, that might be a little bit better too. Because, I mean, having to buy a box of adapters to make an antenna like that work, it's interesting. You know, you kind of get into the weeds. Sometimes you have to go from an SMA to a BNC to a type N and back and forth. You know, it does help to buy quality connectors and quality cables. But I always say, if you need something, try and have the things you have on hand to make it. That way you don't end up with a 40-foot cable for a 3-foot connection. You can just make one yourself. Oh, hey, you entered the room. Would you like to do your speech there? Okay, all right. Well, we're going to dive into our main part of the program here. We're going to do a little bit of a 10 meter. Thanks, sir.
Okay, actually, this whole thing sort of fell together yesterday afternoon when Joe gave me a call on the Kulani machine. So if parts of it seem slightly ragged, give Tom and I a little bit of leeway here on it. The person who was lined up for it is eminently qualified for all of the parts, but it was not to be. However, the whole issue on 10 meters is an area that I've been preaching about for a long time, especially as we came up the curve on cycle 25. First of all, what I'd like to do, how many technician class licensees do we have in here? Put up your hand and hold it up. Keep it up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5? Okay, 5. Okay, we've got 5 people there. This this demonstration and discussion today is especially aimed for you guys, because what we find is that the technician class licensees in our area in East Hawaii and probably West Hawaii have put themselves into a box and not realizing that there's a huge amount more in the way of resources that they've got available. The problem is that if you have a tech class license, you typically are looking at 2 meters on up. And locally, what that really means, based on repeaters and a little bit of straight through, what we've really got is only 2 meters and 440. And that's not a lot. And a lot of that, if you want to go beyond the bounds here, if you're on simplex, it's going to be pretty much line of sight. If you're going to talk to somebody in other areas, it's going to be through All-Star, DMR, or some other method that's actually it's utilizing the internet. If you have a system that's depending on the internet, or it's depending on a repeater, and things go sour, you've got nothing left to do. And that's one of the reasons why point-to-point is so valuable. And that's what we're going to talk about going down to 10 meters. Now, what's especially interesting is 10 is an excellent band for the technicians. There's also 6. And unfortunately, very few people are using 6 meters around here too. And yet we've shown through Grid Madness that 6 meters is a very, very viable band without repeaters. So knowing that we've got 5 in here right now, what I'd like to do is first, let's talk for a minute about what modes are available to you. Right now on 2 meters and 440, all you're using is basically FM or C4 FM going through a repeater or simplex. And that's all you've got. Nobody is really running sideband, AM, digital, or anything else in the upper digital or up the upper regions of VHF. So what we really have for you guys is 2 areas. We have 6 meters, which is really a discussion in itself, but we have 10 meters, which everybody forgets about. 10 meters is officially still HF, and you can still go worldwide through it, and it does not take much in the way of equipment or antennas or power supplies to do it. My push for the last number of years has been to try and encourage technician class licensees to get going on 10 meters when the band is good and be able to really enjoy some of the same stuff that the generals and extra class licensees are also enjoying. If somebody says, oh, well, 10 meters really doesn't have much going for it. One day, even before the cycle came up, I was sitting on, there was a 10 meter opening, and I actually, on 10 meter FM, worked through a repeater in Manhattan, New York. And that absolutely blew me away. And it worked fine. Well, 10 meters locally tends to be more line of sight. The minute you get either sporadic E, which is one form of propagation, which you'll find typically whether the propagation is good, bad, or indifferent, or you're up around the top of the cycle and you can get some F layer propagation. You now have the ability to work about anywhere you want to. Some of the things I've done on 10 meters was we were running, and we're going to show you some equipment here, which is kind of amazing. We pulled it off the shelf. Tom and I did yesterday afternoon. That small unit that we're going to show you, which is running 25 watts, I worked South Africa on one night. It was Port Elizabeth, South Africa, I think. That rig actually had been heavily used to work Kiribati on a daily schedule way back then. So it was an extremely effective rig for that. A lot of people have DXCC certificates on 10 meters. If conditions are good, you can work about anywhere you want to without having a horrendous sized antenna. So the modes you've got, unlike just the straight FM, the modes that you have, again, are sideband, CW, and digital. even as a technician class licensee. And those are all in the first portion of the 10-meter band. And that's why we passed around the band allocation. You can actually take a look, and the bottom bar is set up for novice and technician, and that will tell you what you have as a technician class licensee. So for voice, you've got sideband. Don't worry about the fact that on 10 you won't be running FM or AM, because nobody's running FM or AM except for a few of these oddball repeaters back in the East Coast. So for all of the stuff you want to do, you're able to do it through upper sideband. Let's see, who's running the 10-meter net? Huh? Irene is running at least one 10-meter net a week. And she's also working at getting people to get the necessary number of QSOs where they get enrolled into the 1010 organization. She has been a great believer in 10-meter use. But again, you don't need a general or an extra to be able to use all of these resources on 10. You've got from 28,300 to 28,500 for all of your sideband activity. And what you'll find is that during contests and all, a lot of the contesters that have general or extra class licenses will actually be down in that area because there's a lot more in the way of potential contesters that they're going to run up for points. If they want a little less, they'll go outside of the 28,500 range. So as the technician class, you've got a huge amount of flexibility. You've got 200 kilohertz of voice frequencies in there. Now, another problem is if you're on 20 meters, or even more so if you're on 40 meters, and you have any sort of a space problem, it's going to be pretty tough trying to get up a full-size dipole. On 10 meters, a full half-wave dipole is only 16 feet long. It's 8 foot on each side of the coax at the center point. That's all. And in terms of getting it up a ways, it really doesn't have to be any higher than 16 feet, which is a half wave, which gives you a low takeoff angle for your signal and makes it very easy. Now, Bob is going to show you what 8 foot looks like on one side. You got it? Is this 8 foot right now? So this is 1/2 of a 10-meter dipole. You can run it as an inverted V, or just about anywhere else you can stuff the wires. If you have problems with making things look invisible, if you have problems with CCNRs, none of these are insurmountable on 10 meters. So you can build a 10-meter dipole in a matter of minutes. You can also use things like small transmitting magnetic loops. You can run, what have we been running? You can run verticals. We've lately been running half-wave end-fed 10-meter verticals that have worked out extremely well, even better than our 40-meter. We are able to also run a 40-meter end-fed on 10 meters. One of the things that was in there with a 10-meter band is that when the earlier allocations were set up, they were all harmonically related. So you had 160, 80, 40, 20, and 10. 15 meters had not been allocated to us yet. So the advantage is that, number one, if you've got high harmonic content, it's going to stay within the ham bands. But it also makes it very easy to build up your antenna systems. And with the 40-meter end fed, you can actually, with one antenna, with the low SWR, you can hit 40, 20, 15, and 10 meters. Now, the WARC bands, those are a different story, but they aren't going to have any effect on the technicians. So, in terms of HF antennas, this is one of the smallest and easiest to do antennas. But a quarter wave vertical on 10 meters is only 8 feet high. If you have it elevated with radials, all you need is the center radiator, 8 feet high, and some 8-foot radials, and you're off to the races. We have used it effectively with radials from here all the way out to Ulithi Atoll, out to Whakatai Island there, with William Rodolphotech V63YWR. So even with just a simple vertical or ground plane, 10 meters is able to do some pretty amazing stuff. Part of what I'm trying to get you guys jazzed up on is that it does not take a lot of money or area in your yard or anything else to get on 10 meters and to be very effective.
I need a wire that I found on sale at Walmart, being sold as that variable wire for your dog's collars to keep them in your yard. I got it for $3, and I have a 10 meter. Actually, I found my man pack. It was in the car. I have a 10 meter antenna with me, and I have a BNC on there, so it can connect to almost anything, and a bunch of connectors, just so I can connect to whatever I have to connect to. Because again, connectors, they're never the same. But having that and making it be a spare wire that was going to be, bin or just done with nothing with, that's been awesome. I'm just happy to have it. If you want me to bring that out too, I can.
Yeah, you might bring it in. One of the things, by the way, we talked about simple antennas. I get a certain amount of time to sit on my front porch in Gitam and have an 807 and look through old QST articles. And there have been some excellent articles on taking, for instance, Radio Shack speaker wire, splitting it apart so that you have about 8 feet on each side, tying a knot and using that for this flat top of the antenna, and then coming down with the rest of it for your feed line. And they actually did measurements of feed line loss and the rest and effective feed line impedance. And it was pretty impressive. If you thought that it was going to be a joke, it turns out that it was very, very effective according to these articles. So you can do it with something as simple as that, which may end up costing you what, about $5 or something. So the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do that way. As an additional point of what you can do, Pascal Nelson, HC7N, who was a prior past president of BIARC here, who's still nursing his broken arm after I broke his arm dragging him in, is now in North Carolina. And he's got a small hex beam, and I've got a 10-meter Moxon. And with only, I think it was running only 50 watts. And we had solid communications between Tom Yap all the way to his place in North Carolina, which is about 10,000 miles. And that was on 10 meters. You have to pick your times a little bit carefully for that, for the point that the propagation is favorable over that long a path. But it does work. We've got the logs to show it. So part of my point in going over and over and over this is to say that 10 meters is not a toy band. It's every much of a serious band as the rest of the HF bands down below it, going down to 160. So another thing is that if you're a tech class licensee, if you're thinking of also doing some stuff on 6 meters, one of the things, and you don't have, by the way, you don't have an HF rig yet. Almost all of the current HF rigs are automatically being supplied with HF through 30 megs and then 6 meters added to it. So they'll, and the ads all say HF plus 6 meters. So if you get one of these rigs, and if you're in here at the meeting, I would strongly suspect that you guys are not just looking for cert licensing, that you're serious about your ham activity. So if you're going to go pick up, if you're going to pick up a rig, you can do double duty on that with the with doing 10 meters in HF and 6 meters, and then still have your VHF rig for doing the regular around town stuff. So those are some of the reasons that I have been pushing 10 meters really, really hard. I'm not sure that a lot of technician licensees really understand how powerful a resource it is and really understand what's there. And yet, once you get into it, it's like, oh my God, what did I miss? You know, and why didn't I do this before? But right there, it can give you some pretty exciting operating while you work on upgrading to your general and higher. What we're, Tommy, where do you think we're at?
The technicians also have data privilege.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. I sort of mentioned it in passing, but he's right, and that is FT8, FLDigi, and all the rest that are being heavily used down in HF. Those are all applicable to technicians on 10 meters. You've got CW privileges, of course, but you have the data privileges in there, and anything you get for data gear will be directly applicable after you upgrade further to a general. So you can. Thanks for bringing that up, because you can. You know the band is open if you can find a moderate amount of FT8 activity. If there's no FT8, you know the band's closed. Huh? You can do any of that. You can do WinLink, you can do FLDigi. So above and beyond the Meshtastic that we, you know, being our kind of hot thing recently, Clubwise and the rest, we've got these other options digitally, and they really are hot. We actually, with FLDigi, we have been able to hold up a circuit between Hawaii and Gitam Yap on as little as 1.5 watts and an average antenna. No dramatic antenna, basically unity gain antenna. Bob, you had some points that you'd like to make on the communications efficiency. Huh?
You said you talked to South Africa. Well, actually, Botswana, which is just a little north of South Africa. The antipode for Hawaii.
Yeah, there's some folks online can hear as well.
Okay, we're talking about what John had said about talking to South Africa. A little bit north of South Africa is one of the native countries that was invented by South Africa called Botswana. And that is exactly the opposite of Hawaii. So that's as far as you can go before you start coming back. Unless you go to space.
Right on. Yeah, don't mind me back and forth with this. I just realized I can use this and the folks online can get a closer up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Back and forth.
Now, in the digital area, everybody by this time is usually pretty familiar with FT8. And FT8 is pretty much of a point and click. FT8 is fun for the first month. And then FT8 starts to become kind of boring. Because literally all you're doing, I don't consider them to be QSOs. They're contacts. You're getting a signal report and a location, and that's it. And that's one of the reasons why FT8, with such a narrow exchange, is able to work down to such a low sensitivity level. But FL Digi, with things like Olivia and some of the others, is able to work down close to that far below the noise level. And that is actually peer-to-peer. It's keyboard to keyboard. So you can sit there and you could coordinate a lot of emergency communications, keyboard to keyboard, and using FL Message and sending whole message groups or hamgrams or the rest through it. So that gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can do with it. Tommy and I have recently started working on the FL Message area and also Pascal. And what we want to do is come up with additional ability to actually draft our own FL Message forms, our formats for the forms. And the idea being that if you have these drafted in your forms library for something that's peculiar to out here, and we have a massive problem, now you've got forms that are directly usable. And there are similarities between doing it that way and doing it through WinLink. So you've got, with the technician class licenses, you've got the ability to do MCOM through digital and the rest. So a lot of the things that you've been hearing about are now directly in your pocket if you want to go ahead and take advantage of the resources that are there. Now, there's a favorable enough ratio between tech class licensees in here and we'll call them old timers, that everybody in here that's a tech should have no trouble at all getting the necessary amount of mentoring to be able to take maximum advantage of 10 meters. One of the things we're going to show you is we're going to have kind of a quick, definitely line of sight demo between that Radio Shack unit was the old HTX 10, and it was set up. They sold them for they went new for $150, and it will do AM, upper, lower sideband, and FM. They're rated at 25 watts. Tom put it on his workbench yesterday and measured 30 watts out of it with good audio quality over to Doug's. So there's a lot of equipment that's very, very viable. As a matter of fact, that small package there with a 5-pin connector and an audio interface is capable of interfacing with your computer or laptop and also doing FL Digi and FT8. It's a synthesized radio and it's got a stable receiver and transmitter. So you can actually run digital on that if you build up the cabling and a little more of the way of interface tricks. So there are some real good options out there. I kind of proselytize on 10 meters for technician licensees for good reason, because it can be like opening up a whole nother world for you guys. We really, really would like to see you guys on 10 and availing yourselves of the resources from some of the other members. Now, I will say this much. If you get going on 10 meters, by the time you pick up your general class license, it's going to be old hat. because it's been there, done that. All you do is you're going lower in frequency and your antennas are going to get a bit longer, but you've already been in the middle of it and you know what you're doing and why you're doing it and what it takes to add to it.
Clock mark there. Maybe we should take a 10-15 minute break.
Sure.
Just in case there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And that actually gives us a quick chance to regroup on this.
Perfect.
Okay, so at any rate, that's my part of this. So I hope I didn't put you guys too far to sleep.
I don't hear any snoring.
No, that's because they're just dead.
So yeah, we'll take a short break period here. Let's come back to this at 3:25, and then should be ready to demo by then. And then we'll go over some more stuff, and you can have the mic back. I just wanted to charge it as well. I know this thing. I want to add a battery to this. It's on my list. It's on my list. But let me charge both of these. That way, I want to be able to get this all logged. I want one of those Zap radios so bad. Oh my god. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Here. I'm going to charge this. I think this is a good idea. I'm going to use a different rig next time. That way I'm not holding up a tablet. But this way it gives my mic some time to charge. And we are going to leave the mic on. So if anybody online, if you do have anything to say or have any questions while we're on the break here, feel free to raise a hand and speak up. So far, so good. My network is not crashed. Everything's good.
So I've got an announcement about my QSO party. Coming up.
I really just have to remember to send Lee pictures of everything, the descriptions. I've been slacking so bad on writing, but I've been just all over the place, busy with random stuff like. Yep, that's your cable. Don't forget your cable. Oh, you know.
Went okay. Yeah. Guys, I appreciate you guys. I'm hoping we get our demo. Yeah, we're having a little bit of problem with dummy loads. Oh, really? What's going on? 7,200. Getting out when you shut the dummy load no, my,
Hang on, let's see the bag of tricks. I have a, oh shoot, all I have is this SMA. But then I have an SMA to BNC, and then I have a BNC. How can I help with this here? Let's see. That's beyond kismet. That's awesome. Like the next part of that project that I'm working on, it needed some microcontrollers, and they just popped up, man. Like they just freaking popped up. Like, I keep saying like I'm gonna will things into the universe, and it keeps happening. You know,
Nice.
like
Manifestation, baby.
yeah, dude, for real. No, the biggest part is if I ever get like $1 million, I'll be happy to pay my taxes. Oh, the HackRFs. This is the H2, the old one. This is the H4, the brand new one. I just got this one last week. I've had this one for a bit. But they are very interesting creatures. Like very, very interesting. If you're gonna get one of these because it has a port out. And it's a separate board, but that board runs an ESP32, so it effectively gives itself its own connection. Oh yeah, everything. Have you seen one of these?
No.
Oh,
That's right.
okay. This one's great. This one's great because it actually has an on and off switch. Now I only have the 900 meg 10 on it right now, but turn her on, and you have all of these modes: receive, transmit, transceiver, blah 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 blah. It goes on, but you can also connect just to your computer and hit the hack RF button, which enables it just to be a hack RF, so a spectrum analyzer. But it goes both ways. You can transmit and receive all of this. It's not very powerful, but it's an amplifier report. But my favorite is that you go to receive, and you can receive ADSB transmission, AIS transmission, APRS. I'm beaconing. Let's see if I'm not tuned for it right now, but the POCSAG page is still using at the hospital. You can pick those up too. The radio sonde. Let's see, those crazy power meters that are now being used, so you can monitor if there's working and whatnot. The radio sonde. Oh yeah, see, that's on those. Oh my gosh, they really are. Really, really are. Oh, gotcha. Well, great to see you here. Yeah, I brought it here 2 years ago. We were like, what is this? We weren't interested. And I got a couple other guys interested. Now it's finally RF. So awesome. I'm so happy to have that. I know it's not exactly hand, but still, I like everything. Yeah, exactly. Everything is a wave. Ross is very slow, but it's still a wave. VLF to gamma radiation. My best visualization was actually brought it out for it. Longest wave, keep going, and then list out like VLF, speech, light. It's all the same wave, just sped up. Which I still don't think she understands, but you got a whiteboard drawing it on there. Yeah. This is why I need this time to actually be able to converse and whatnot. Shoot, this one, I have a limited stock. If you go to Rabbit Labs, I just got it. What did I want to say it was $325 for this brand new. But expect there to be a price drop soon because the company that makes the underlying board, this is just a sandwich board. The underlying board is the Hack RF. This is the Hack RF with a port because they want to make the computers out. But you can buy just the board and just use your computer as that. Right there, but you don't get all of this. Yeah, all in one. It even does old school. How do I put this without saying like criminal? Aside from watch hunting and everything, you can receive satellites. Since I have two of them, I'm waiting for my little 10 gigahertz crystal so I can connect two of these. And I cracked the code. And then I realized that there's something called Go S9. It just sounds innocuous. Dodge has a USB port. Well, what they're doing is they're in there and it's blocking it. So that's why when you go look at your GPS or you dodge it, it's spinning in a circle in the parking lot where you are, but your car's not there anymore. You can get one of those for $50 on Amazon, which I have on the way. Because I learned that I want to use it to show like how they're doing it. Like people are asking how are they doing it? It's intercepting the keyless entry there and this does replay attacks on its own. I think you did this. This is actually my favorite. It's called a flipper sail. The fact that it does, oh yeah, a couple of years, but they went up in price, of course. But the fact that I have expansion boards, I printed a cover board, so I don't get it there, but expansion boards, so I can get a amplifier. It's something that runs them on I can see the part I get stuck on is programming. But as soon as I get better at that, I'm happy that I'm on the good side of things. Because the world can be much worse. Like, right now, I'm actually submitting other people's code. I'm trying to get my hands on my mind around I really don't know, but if it can help me, I'm just not going to depend on it. So I think it's piece like that. See that post online? I'm going to call it video. If we went online, showing presentations, like they were just like, oh, congratulations, I guess you're smart. See, one thing, but I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want you to be a doctor, man. No, like what? But these are the things that really got me. All of this. I got a flipper bouncing around out there doing like whatever. And I remember I got my hand license back in college for the Inspired Code. Well, now I have it. So I started hanging out with this group. I ended up getting a couple of radios. Before you know it, it's like Pokemon. So, but then you end up what's it called? Learning about how radio works. Just like I think it doesn't matter if it's light or RF. I love that. Yeah, right. The only thing that got me is back in college, I still have to read on whether or not light is a wave or a particle. This is before they said, you know what, it's both. But I mean, I'm from that era of technicians, like, you know. I gamify it and do it in my spare time. That's I think where I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, Python scripting, why not? You know, and it works. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So many things. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I have other projects that I'm working on that just they're taking somebody else's code and inserting a couple of bits so I can have it's all like Legos. That's what I love, you know. That's what I love. Yeah. They were made for literally just for sensors for what's it called? Not just weather, but you know, like I mentioned earlier, like your ground, your soil, whatever.
They've got some features. An indicator.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually bummed out. I'm trying to work my mind around how I'm going to do it, but I have one of these that has effectively one of these stuck to it already, so I can omit this whole board just by programming, right? So I'm getting there, but I mean the option is that's exciting right now. Like, oh my God! Yeah, sure. Was that? Oh. All right. I gotta bring my penny whistle with me. It'll blow out everybody's ears, but it'll work. Hello, everyone. We'll go ahead and continue with our program now.
I don't have a lot.
Well, when I bring the penny whistle in, you can tell who's in the military because they'll stand too. I guarantee it.
Remember, we got Bill too.
Yeah. Well, I think Bill's thing might be a little on the longer side, so well, let's check real fast. We're gonna go ahead and continue the program. If everybody can have a seat.
Let him go first, because this is going to be a long time.
Yeah. We're gonna start right now. All right, so we'll go ahead and continue our program with one short intermission from that end. Just give us 5 minutes of Bill's time there, and then we'll get to this. Thank you again so much for bringing your equipment and making this a thing. Sometimes it's hard, and I can only talk so much. But we're lucky enough to have Bill with us today, and he'll be going over just a couple things. By the way, I can't even express my joy with being able to attend last weekend's Oxcom event. Thank you very much for corresponding and making it so I could be a part of that. It was a great experience.
You know, I've never seen anybody take exams as quick as this guy. He is like the exam king. You cranked him out really fast. I can't believe it. So I think you hold the record. So why am I holding this mic? Are we doing?
The mic is for the online.
Got you. Hi, online type guys. So I'm Bill Hansen. I'm with Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency. And the reason why I wanted to talk with you is just that we had a couple of weather stuff happen, right? It wasn't a couple. Let's go over them really quick. There were 3 storms that went to our south. And when those storms are passing by, I guess it had that same kind of effect that Dora had, where it was like pulling all the moisture that way, which means it's dry, which means all that dry high wind type stuff is coming down from the north, which created, or at least led into red flag warning weather. And so we experienced that. We were on our toes, hoping that we wouldn't see something play out. But I'll tell you what, just this week, Hamakua, one day, what day was it? We had a fire. Then the next day, it was rekindled. And then I think it was yesterday, mile marker 21, there was another fire. So interesting that the wet side was getting fires, right? So we don't know what could come across our bow. Then there were 2 storms that were passing that I think the one still passing us, which is Henriette, is still passing us and was gaining strength, I believe, this morning as well as it's passing us to the north. So there were a couple of things I wanted to go. Oh, not only that, we had an earthquake in Alaska that created a situation up in the Alaska area, but then people were questioning, how come Civil Defense didn't put out a message? Because there was no message to put out for Hawaii. According to PTWC, there were no advisories issued, there were no watches issued, there were no warnings issued. Therefore, there's no products issued for Hawaii. Then we go to Russia. There was a 7.4, and then everybody's rushing to the office because all of a sudden they're putting us in a watch, right? And I'm going 7.4 in a watch. It didn't actually fit their model or their matrix of how they put stuff out at a certain distance away with a certain magnitude. And given the situation, this could be how it, but they did. They put us under a watch. And then several days later, we went under another earthquake, much larger, 8.6, 8.4. It was pretty good size one. So what's interesting about that one is that we had the Pacific Tsunami Museum director was there, president was there at the EOC, and she was saying, this energy wave, it creates energy, but it's not exactly symmetrical when it pushes it out. There's a point at which it's forcing a lot of its energy out, and it wasn't towards Hawaii. But we did get something. But I'll tell you what, remember what happened the day after? It bounced off of California and came right back to Hawaii. And I just remember Parks and Recreation, somebody at Parks and Rec, and he said, you should have saw the currents and all the swirling that was going on the shoreline. So yeah, that was the second time I've experienced this bounce coming off of California. The first time was at Fukushima, 2011, where it bounced off, and the next day, sure enough, we're getting one foot rise and fall. Then on top of that, we have, even up to today, we've got this king tide, high tide, coastal flooding type situation. So you can see there's a lot on our plate, right? On our plate. But sometimes we like the information just for the sake of the information, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to us. So I just wanted to say that some of us might go, hey, civil defense, where you guys at? Well, there's no product from PTWC. There's no product from National Weather Service. Therefore, most likely you won't get any product from us either. So in the past also, remember there used to be a time when civil defense would put out a message, a public message about there was an earthquake in such a place, but there's no tsunami threat. So we started asking ourselves the question, why are we putting out a message when there is no tsunami threat? But we're just saying, but it comes under the title of tsunami statement, but there's no tsunami. So we're wondering, is that maybe desensitizing our public from the message that we really want them to hear? Is when we do go into a tsunami watch and a tsunami warning or advisory, we want you to take action. Yeah, so we're just looking at if it pertains to us, guess what? You're going to hear from us. And if it doesn't, there could be Mr. Guy Hoggy could give you the scoop, but we won't necessarily go as far. I mean, it's kind of nice to have those peripheral information, but we just want to make sure that what comes from us is really something that you might have to take action on. Which brings me to the next point, and that is, I thought it would be a good idea that maybe we take things to the next level. And that is, why don't we, because I did ask Tony, I said, Tony, hey, you mind, and Luke, you mind turning on the Mauna Kea repeater? He goes, yeah, sure. And I said, oh, actually, it was you asking me, Bill, you want to turn it on? I said, yeah, good idea. And then I said, Tony, you mind doing net control? And then also, I think I talked to Rick, knowing that Rick was, is going to be part of that HF, bunch of guys that do HF 3 times every day. And yeah, no problem. And so we fed you information. Basically, it was more like a push type of a situation, but it could be a push back to us as well and say, hey, we're getting people reporting damage, or they're experiencing whatever, might be, whether it's tsunami related or weather related or wind related or fire related. And we want that type of information. And so it'll be tailored accordingly. I check in with them. Hey, how's things going? How's things looking? But I'm not necessarily at the radio all the time. But at net control, you're at the radio all the time. So I'm just thinking about how do we manage expectations a little bit better. And I'm thinking maybe one way we can do that is to do a scenario together, is to do a scenario or a couple of scenarios together. Maybe one's a tsunami scenario that we play out, and another one could be a hurricane, tropical storm, tropical cyclone scenario as well. And we pretend we're doing net control. And so it's like, now we can say, well, what are your expectations? How would you handle this? How do you get information to you and then pass it on to whom? So I'm here to kind of propose, maybe if you'd like, at a later date, a later meeting, BIARC meeting, that we consider running something like that. So all of that talk was just to ask a question. Would you like to consider with the club members to do a scenario like that?
I can only see good of that. I mean, maybe you guys want to take a vote on whether or not this is doable. Not everybody, not mandatory. It would just be
a familiarization of how
Yeah,
things would
we
play out.
actually familiarize yourself with the situation and how to respond and communicate with those who will have more information than just you. I mean, if it's just you at home anyway, and all you have is your phone that's dead because God knows what, why not have a little back and forth and get actual communication with civil defense? I think it's a good.
I think the other idea behind why I'm asking is because I see that from time to time there are emails that go out, and then there's a bit of difference of opinion of how we handle things. And I think maybe we can kind of focus that in a little bit and, refine it a lot better, both on civil defense's side for sure. And then also what our understanding is and how it plays out. Okay.
So I see a real advantage in working together, all the groups with civil defense, not just BIARC, but island-wide. It's important to get this experience of actually operating the radios in a simulated situation for the CERT teams, the ARES members, the VOAD members, everybody who's an licensed amateur radio operator, even if they're independent. And not everybody's a member of a club, but we're all members of the community. So I'd like to propose that, we all work together, which in the backing of civil defense brings us together and gives it legitimacy, but also one of the biggest heavy lifts is generating the scenario. And I'm sure you're aware of, especially if you get down to the granular level where you generate a scenario for how each community is like impacted in a hurricane, because it really helps when you're doing this kind of an exercise to have specifics like wind speed and rainfall and that type of information. Highway 130 is blocked or Highway 11 is blocked at the 22-mile marker. When you get down to those level of specifics, that's where the real benefit occurs, because then, and plus all the phone lines are down and the internet's out, and you get down to that level of specifics, and then people can really start to think, okay, I'm cut off. I've got this problem. There's an injury. What am I going to do? So that's where I see a great deal of benefit in this idea.
Thank you, Tony.
So can you and I coordinate something soon? We'll be in touch and coordinate some kind of plan there.
Yeah.
I think that might be the best way to go about it, because then, whoever wants to, we can all just get together. Let's do this. I say the more preparation, the better. I love multi-mode preparation too, and in the sense that, you might have an idea of another way to help out or be a relay to another mode of communication. I want to talk to you guys about that. Well,
So I see Tom and Gary. You're gonna have a couple of Joe back there. But I just want to let you know that there's something in this, and that is we've never gone this far with our relationship. I don't think we've ever had an exercise together. Hello? Yeah? It's gonna be about time.
yeah, no, it's a great idea. You guys, here, Bill. Oh, the question's for you.
Some of us, like me, were kind of caught flat-footed when the 8.8 hit. One of the things that we as a group should be prepared to do next time, and the next time will be not too far away, I'm sure. These are ideal circumstances for doing a PR thing with our neighbors and saying, here we are, we're able to, we're the point of last defense, and we're working hand in hand closely with civil defense. And that's going to go a long ways towards building additional support countywide.
Yeah, I agree.
Great idea.
Definitely get more bang for the buck, even within BIARC as well. And why is BIARC? What's the legitimacy of BIARC? Well, part of it could be emergency. Emergency can be part of it, not all of it.
Well, thank you. And then, Tom,
Well, I just wanted to mention that, I just wanted to mention that, right after the 8.8 earthquake, the Kamchatka earthquake, Rick, WH6FC from Mountain Ocean View, stood up a net on 40 meters and he had close to 50 check-ins on that net. And it was just, basically passing information back and forth, among the community as to what was happening, what the status was of the alerts and all of that kind of stuff. So there are hams out there who will come out of the woodwork and get on these nets and participate. There's no question about it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you. Gary.
Yeah, so a couple of quick questions, I guess. For the trainings, I guess I try to make it realistic and understanding our expectations of a disaster. So if we look at the tsunami scenario, what can happen? Where's the run-up zones? What critical infrastructure is located in those zones? What will be expected to lose? Are we going to lose inter-island fiber communications? Maybe the microwave stays up, your Starlink stays up. Helco may go down intermittently, maybe from some poles or something that was taken out on the coastline and the breakers didn't blow properly. That could be restored relatively fast, but maybe the dock got damaged. Maybe some of the boats didn't get out to sea fast enough. So no fuel's coming in. Did it happen on a Wednesday? Was the Tuesday, Thursday schedule of the barges disrupted? We'll be 2 weeks out on shipments. So kind of what your scenario is, can we play the real, play those cards into it, and not just the communications aspect?
Yeah, knowing that there's multiple real world scenarios that can play out, we'll probably just have to pick one. I propose that then we actually have a planning team that it doesn't have to be a lot, but just several, 2, 3 max. And we just sit down and plan out scenarios where it's real to you as well as it will be real to us.
Okay. And then one more question here from Joe.
It's not necessarily a question. It's just sort of a suggestion. Having worked net control in a weather issue, I found like I was filling out the situation report, sit reps, and most people that were reporting into me, they would just tell me the exact, it's flooding here, and that's it. You know what I mean? They wouldn't tell me the wind speed or anything else. I think people besides that control need to be familiarized with sit rep, the questions that they ask, how you answer them, and go from there. Yeah, that's all I got.
That is a part of or a very good reason why ICS and other trainings are a thing. A lot of them, everything I took was free. The whole course was it was all free. It's online. You can go to FEMA's website and actually look at all of the forms, all of the steps on how to fill them out. There are ways to gauge things like rain, wind speed, all of these things. And I encourage everybody to go check out. I learn best when under pressure and also on my own. If I'm delving into a subject, I'm going to go and figure out as much of that subject as I can because I wanted to. So if you want to, check out those lines of communication on what to say, when to say it.
A quick question. How many of you last Saturday and Sunday attended the Oxcom training? That's a holy moly, that's a little high.
That was a good.
The next question is, how many of you attended Oxcom training in the past when it was at ONA? Yes, it's the rest of you. And then how many of you attended the Oxcom training when it was offered in Honolulu? That's amazing.
So,
Question to ask, well, how many of those would you like to take the Oxcom course because you were not available last weekend?
Well, we still have one more opportunity, and that is the possibility of offering one on the Tacoma side, if we get enough of the head count.
That's
yeah, so head count issue there, but yeah. Yeah, of course.
So for the last several years, ARES has been focusing here in Hawaii County on using Civil Defense's forms. And we've got the PDF versions of the forms, the SITREP, the RFA, the RFI, all posted on the BIARC website. So you can print them out easily. I encourage everyone to print them out. And it's been my goal with ARES to combine, the reason why we train for civil defense based on their forms and based on standard net protocol, is so that we can support other organizations. So when we have an emergency, whether you're with CERT or with VOAD or working with ACS Civil Defense directly, we're all on the same page. How does a network? What frequencies are we going to use? What does an ICS 205 form look like? And that's what all this training is about. And so, yeah, the ACS required that Oxcom training, which we all know is pretty intense. The Aries training isn't quite as intense. You know, our exercises, but we still are trying to do the same thing. So it's not quite as high of a bar, but it does allow people to get their feet dirty, so to speak, in learning what the forms look like and learning how that information flows over a net. But the whole purpose is to try to make amateur radio operators better trained and more useful when it comes to a situation where we really need to help out civil defense.
The one thing that sometimes is hardest is when you're asking a question about something, it can be difficult because you want to know the reason why something is, when a lot of the time it can come later. Sometimes it's easier just to say to yourself, it just is. I have to do it this way. I'll figure out the why it does it that way later. So sometimes you just, how do I put this?
Yeah, didn't Walter Cronkite say like that?
Something to that effect. It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, so if you do want to update your training or anything to that effect, there are a lot of resources online and everywhere else. Like Tony said, check out the website. I'll send you a text with the FEMA ICS thing later. Oh, you got that part. Oh, good. Well, any other info, we'll talk some more. But yeah. Oh,
So just to make sure we don't lose focus on this, is there somebody or a committee in the club right now that can take point on this interaction with civil defense to make sure we make progress on planning this? And I ask that knowing that I don't have the time to volunteer, so I apologize. But I mean, maybe we can identify today somebody who can make sure this keeps moving forward.
right. So they have an ad hoc committee. I don't know the protocol for forming an ad hoc committee. I mean, that's, even though I'm the president, I'm still learning.
So, if at any regular membership meeting, the membership will put the motion for that, but typically it's not, except for the.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, we converse a little bit as well and correspond via email up to that point. So, stay tuned. We'll figure something out. Yeah. Again, thank you for coming, and
Thank you for
you
letting
know,
me take 5 minutes of your time.
it's always appreciated. It's always information is always, it's always one of those things. Doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as it's information and it's helpful stuff. But with that, oh, that's right. We do have extra time. We've made it so that we can stay until 5 o'clock now. So we have a bit of time to play. I heard that. But if you guys are set up, we can actually go ahead and give a 10-meter demonstration there.
Yeah. It'll be very, very
Brief. That's fine.
Actually, the next time we'll do it in
Do it.
next time we do it, we'll do it in digital. Yeah, this will just be proof of performance on the slide and such, the other end of the table.
Hey, it's still something. It's still something. I mean, if you want, we can have, you guys want to get a little closer and do a quick demo, and then we can call it what it is.
Yeah. 40 feet, that's strong enough to pick up without needing a belt.
But yeah, I mean, I guess this is just kind of a proof of concept to prove that it works, but this is the gateway, the getting somebody started and wanting to go further instead of just wanting to be a technician. Once you get a little taste of digital, you're going to want some more. So you get a little bit more bandwidth and a little bit more space and room to play on general. I'm still working on my extra, but I'll get there because I want more room to play. And I keep finding more things, and I keep going down rabbit holes, and I still haven't hit the bottom of any of them. So there's always room for something. But yeah, it's all about what you guys want to do. Oh, I didn't think about the extra part there. We don't have a speaker, like any way to actually have the room hear this. We might have to just conclude the meeting and do a redo. Is that possible? Would you guys be willing to do this for another program? I mean, we can do digital mode.
What we could do is rather than have everybody sitting back there not able to hear it, what we can do is we test in real time, is have people file past it.
Oh yeah, here
And
we
see
go.
what's happening with it, see what we've got in terms of a small minimal sideband rate and then a super
A full board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll go ahead and do this. I mean, it won't take very long, but we'll do it this way where everybody can kind of file on by and take a listen, hear the contact. Might as well.